Today we are talking about turning trash into treasure, or at least some great quality fertilizer. We are going to make our own compost. And joining us to help us out is Scott Meyer. He is the editor of Organic Gardening Magazine. So all right, Scott, we want to know first and foremost, what is compost exactly?
Compost is the once living things turned into a soil conditioner, weed preventer, fertilizer. It's taking those things, putting them together and managing the process so they decompose and leave you with a great result.
So Scott, explain to me the process, how composting works to help in growing your garden.
Composting works by taking specific materials that you want to use, some browns and some greens, we'll talk about that in a second, what we mean by that, mixing them together, and when you do that, there's all these millions of microbes in the soil, and they come up and they start to break down that stuff and turn it into the fertilizer nutrients that plants need.
It looks fairly simple. You don't need a bin per se. You've got chicken wire here, right?
That's right. We like to say compost happens, which means that you don't have to do a whole lot to make this work, but it does help to have a few things that make it a little neater and a little easier to manage. You can buy fancy bins, but you can also just start with something as simple as a roll of chicken wire that you form into a circle and then fill it with your material.
Okay, and we've got some of the material here. I'm going to pick this up because I'm the novice, and if I can do it, anyone can. What do we have here exactly?
We have what we call the brown parts of compost, and you want to balance the browns and the greens. The brown stuff is stuff that's started to dry decay. This would be like straw, shredded leaves. Those are great brown ingredients. You want to mix that 3-to-1 to the greens. It's a good base layer to put down.
When you rake your lawn in the fall and you get your leaves, you just gather all that stuff up.
That is a great time to start with compost, is to get it in the fall because you have all those leaves.
Okay, so this is the first layer. You just put that in there. And it's important that the air circulates because you could, I suppose, put it in a trash can, but if there's no air, it's a whole different process.
If no air, it will start to smell. If you leave it where there's plenty of air circulation, you will not smell and you will not attract animals, one of the concerns that people have about making compost.
All right, so we have the brown ingredients. Next come the green ingredients, and what do they involve?
The green ingredients are things that are fresher than that. They're not dried. Grass clippings is an excellent compost ingredient. I also brought some great green ingredients for us. I saved some from our home compost pail.
You call them green ingredients, I call them garbage, but all right. So there we have banana peel, avocado peel.
There's some tea bag in there.
All
There's
right.
some peelings from a cucumber. Eggshells are an excellent ingredient to add. It's the only animal sourced ingredient
I
you
was
want
going
to
to
put
say,
in.
I would think the eggshells are an animal
They are,
byproduct.
but the shells themselves are really high in a nutrient called calcium.
Right,
It's very helpful. Just dump the whole thing. You would also add in here garden plants that have finished, house plants, cut flowers, coffee grounds is a great ingredient. I know it's brown, but manure is a great ingredient for a compost pile. It has to come from an herbivore. So chickens, horses, cows, those are great ingredients for a compost pile, and they are green because they're high in nitrogen, even though they're brown.
How long does this take exactly?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to make sure that your pile is big enough to start decomposing. This bin is a perfect size because it needs to be 3 feet high, 3 feet wide, and 3 feet deep. So once you have that, then you'll have the critical mass, the pressure that begins the decomposing process. If you're a very enthusiastic compost maker and you turn it every week, 2 months, and you'll have compost. You have in the center is an area that it will start to get hot. You literally will see steam coming off it when you dig into it. That's the stuff that's starting to be finished compost. You want to move that to the outside and take the stuff that hasn't cooked yet and move that to the inside. That's what the turning does. If you're the let compost happen sort and never turn it, 6 months.
So what we've started here are basically the first 2 layers, and you're going to continue to layer it, turn it, layer it, turn it.
That's right. And the other thing that we haven't talked about is it needs a little moisture. You don't want to water it and get it soaking wet, but you like it to be damp all the time. So the turning is important and water is important. And you keep doing this. You can do it all at once if you have enough ingredients, or just keep adding to it as time goes on.
So Scott, this is it. This is the finished product. It's pretty remarkable.
It's almost like alchemy.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this reminds me of a really fine, good grade topsoil, right?
What you have here, I mentioned those microbes. There are billions of microbes. There are more living things in a teaspoon of soil than there are people on Earth.
Really?
Really. It's the best kind of way to feed your garden.
Which explains why organic gardens grows so effectively. This is really a key component.
It's critical.
So once you have the finished product, you have to begin incorporating it into your garden. How do you recommend you do that?
You can simply just put it on a layer on top. A 1/2 inch thick is a good effective amount. But one of the ways I like to use it is to really target it at plants. So when I'm transplanting, every planting hole gets a little compost in it so that soil is enriched.
Scott, thank you.